Learn English through story. There once was a girl named Maria who lived in a small town called Sunnyville. Maria loved to read, but she had a big dream. She wanted to learn English. She knew that learning English would help her talk to people from other countries and maybe even travel the world one day. But Maria didn't know where to start. English seemed difficult, with so many words and rules. One day, Maria's teacher, Miss Lily, gave her a piece of advice that changed everything. "Maria," Miss Lily said, "if you want to learn English, start with something you love. Since you love stories, why not learn English through stories?" Maria thought this was a great idea. She decided to start reading simple English stories. Miss Lily gave her a book called The Little Adventures of Sam and Emma. The book was written for beginners, with short sentences and easy words. The first story in the book was about two friends, Sam and Emma, who went on a treasure hunt. Maria took the book home and began to read. At first, it was a bit hard. There were many new words Maria didn't understand, but she didn't give up. She read slowly, one sentence at a time. When she found a word she didn't know, she looked it up in a dictionary or asked her teacher the next day. As Maria read, she noticed that some words appeared again and again. Words like friend, find, and happy started to feel familiar. She didn't need to look them up anymore. She was beginning to learn. Maria read the story of Sam and Emma every day. She read it before school, after dinner, and sometimes even before bed. Each time she read, she understood a little more. Soon she could tell the whole story in her own words. She felt proud of herself. She was learning English. After finishing the first story, Maria moved on to the next one in the book. This story was about Sam and Emma building a treehouse. Maria loved how the story showed them working together, using tools, and having fun. Just like before, she took her time, reading slowly and learning new words. One day, Miss Lily introduced Maria to something new, listening to stories in English. She gave Maria an audiobook of The Little Adventures of Sam and Emma. Now, Maria could listen to the stories as she read along. This helped her learn how to pronounce the words correctly. She could hear how the characters talked, and she tried to imitate them. Listening to the story while reading it made a big difference. Maria's English improved faster. She started to understand the words better and could speak more confidently. She even started to talk to her friends in English, using the phrases she learned from the stories. Maria's favorite time of the week was when she visited the local library. The library had a special section for English learners, with many books and audiobooks just like the ones she loved. The librarian, Mrs. Watson, always greeted Maria with a smile. She recommended new stories for Maria to read. One day, Mrs. Watson gave Maria a book called The Magical Forest. It was a little more difficult than the books Maria had read before, but she was excited to try. The story was about a young girl named Lucy, who discovered a magical forest filled with talking animals and hidden treasures. Maria took the book home and started reading. This time, she used a new method. She read the story out loud. Reading out loud helped her practice speaking English and made the words stick in her mind. She also listened to the audiobook while reading, which helped her understand the story better. As she read, Maria imagined herself as Lucy, exploring the magical forest and meeting all the wonderful creatures. The story was full of exciting adventures and new words. Sometimes Maria struggled with difficult sentences, but she didn't give up. She kept reading and learning, one page at a time. After finishing The Magical Forest, Maria felt more confident than ever. She had learned many new words and phrases. She could now read and understand English stories much better than before. She realized that learning English through stories was not only fun, but also very effective. Maria wanted to share her love of learning English through stories with others. She decided to start a small book club at her school. She invited her friends to join, and every week they met to read and discuss a new English story. They took turns reading out loud and helped each other with difficult words. Maria was happy to see her friends enjoying the stories and improving their English too. One day, Miss Lily told the class about an English storytelling competition. Maria was excited and a little nervous, but she decided to participate. She chose to tell the story of The Magical Forest. She practiced every day, reading the story out loud and making sure she knew all the words. On the day of the competition, Maria stood in front of the audience, took a deep breath, and began to tell the story. She spoke clearly and confidently, just like she had practiced. The audience listened closely, and when Maria finished, they clapped loudly. Maria was proud of herself. She had come so far since the day she started learning English through stories. Maria didn't win the competition, but that didn't matter to her. What mattered was how much she had learned and how much she enjoyed the journey. She knew that she would keep reading, listening, and telling stories in English. She would keep learning and growing. As time went on, Maria's English continued to improve. She could read more challenging books and understand English movies and songs. She even started writing her own stories in English. She loved how stories had helped her learn and wanted to create her own stories to help others. Maria's journey of learning English through stories taught her that language learning doesn't have to be boring or difficult. It can be an exciting adventure, just like the stories she read. By immersing herself in the world of stories, Maria not only learned English, but also discovered a love for storytelling. Maria's story reminds us all that with patience, practice, and a love for learning, anything is possible. So, if you want to learn English, just like Maria, start with a story. Find a book you love, read it slowly, listen to it, and enjoy the journey. You'll be surprised at how much you can learn through the magic of stories.